This is my match footage for the West End Gun Club LESA Multigun match that was held May 20th, 2023. I'd like to apologize for the lengthy delay in match videos. I will start getting videos out once again. Please note, my matches up until September will be 1 month behind. Starting with my first ever designed stage, the shooter enters the shooting area and begins eliminating the paper targets with their rifle before dumping it and engaging all the remaining steel with their pistol. I'm shooting in 22 Division this match, and you'll see I'm overshooting quite a few of my targets to make sure my hits are actually on point. You'll see me struggle here to get my handgun out because the mounting hardware on my drop leg failed, and I had to make a concerted effort to make sure my holster wasn't at a weird angle when drawing. Stage 1 was pretty good for me, landing second out of 17 shooters with 91.76% of the winner's score. Stage 2 is where things start getting interesting. Another semi-complex Ellingwood stage. The shooter starts with the rifle, engages all paper targets before dumping and moving to pistol. The first target I didn't even engage through the port as I knew I didn't really have to aim. The rest of the targets I clean up pretty quickly here, and somehow I managed to not hit a single no-shoot throughout the rest of the stage. The big target standing on its own was very easy for me to take on the move. It's sitting out in the middle of nowhere and it's fairly close, so it doesn't really matter if I aim or not. My overshooting comes back to haunt me as I go dry right as I have one target left to engage. Just as I did with Stage 1, I have some issues drawing due to an equipment malfunction. The stage must go on, though. My stage plan was a little bit different than what I ended up doing here. I've been trying very hard to make a plan and stick with it. You can see that because I forgot my stage plan. A majority of my stage is much sloppier now. You may have also noticed a malfunction with my handgun at the beginning of the pistol portion. This will come back to haunt me later in the match. Because we're shooting in 22 Division, sometimes the knockdown targets do not knock down, but they are hits. Stage 2 wasn't as good as Stage 1. I could have tightened up my shooting quite a bit, but overall, I'm okay with my performance, landing 5th out of 17 shooters with 77.53% of the winner's score. Stage 3 has an interesting caveat. 2 paper targets stand at the back of the stage. The shooter must engage the targets twice. The targets are 1/3 size reduced paper targets, and they are much smaller than you would normally have. As I mentioned, the light strikes would come back to haunt me. This is the issue with shooting 22 pistols. It's always going to be a bit of a mixed bag. The steel array here has to be shot in a very particular order. Once the shooter engages the steel array, that is their shooting order going forward. Bouncing from the left side of the stage to the right, the shooter must repeat this order on the steel. My reloads here are a lot slower because I'm reloading from a pouch on my plate carrier instead of from my belt. I'm shooting with single stack magazines and my belt is set up for double stacks. Coming up to the window, the shooter needs to engage all the knockdown steel targets before giving 2 more shots at the rear papers. I start to reload here because the pouch is already open on my plate carrier and I just grab it and reload.
Shooter finish, unload, show.
Stage 3 is where things start getting pretty bad. A major slowdown in reloads thanks to my equipment not being made for single stack mags, and a failure to eliminate landed me 12th out of 17 shooters with 59.98% of the winner's score. Stage 4 may look familiar, as it has been used in previous matches and other variants. 4 steel targets line the rear berm. 2 hits on each are required, with at least 2 of the targets being eliminated from the barrel. Once the targets are eliminated, the shooter moves to the next barrel and repeats before dumping their rifle.
Where is he?
The RO is a little bit too premature on this last target, but I still shoot it just in case. Onto the pistol portion, the shooter must engage a small steel round plate and getting at least 1 hit on it before moving to the next portion of the stage. From the port, the shooter must engage the steel on the left-hand side before engaging one of the steel on the right-hand array from the actual port, and doing that until all the steel is eliminated. You can hear me be very much winded. At this point, I was already struggling just a little bit, so a lot of my engagements are a lot slower than I would like them to be. Here we have a failure to lock back, the joys of shooting 22 Division. Again, the sounds of messy dealing with Velcros as I try to get some magazines out of a pouch that I'm not used to. Once all the steel on the sides has been eliminated, there is a steel target in the center, there's a chest target and a head target. Both need to be engaged before the shooter is done with the stage. Stage 4 was somehow worse, 13th out of 17 shooters, with 65.39% of the winner's score. A majority of my issues were shot placement, as I stated in the match footage. Finally, onto Stage 5, the shooter starts with a rifle drawn, 6 steel targets line the rear berm, where one of the targets needs to be engaged from a port. Once all 6 targets are engaged, the shooter moves to the next barricade and repeats what they did for the first barricade.
Hit.
A majority of the slowdown on the stage is due to shot placement. Shooting with a 22 rifle that's 0 for 223 does cause some issues in the long run.
Hit.
Once the shooter finishes, they must engage the body of the 2 paper targets before making a total of 8 hits with their rifle on the rear steel. On this rifle, I've been having some issues with failures to fire and also failures to eject. As you can see here, I'm going to have a moment here where my rifle goes down and I take my magazine out, clear it, and then reload once again. Finally, the shooter dumps their rifle, pulls out their pistol, engages the head box of the paper targets before engaging the same piece of steel in the back berm. And finally, onto the easiest part of the stage. I do a quick reload to top off, and the shooter must engage the rest of the steel array from the farthest targets to the closest. So you'll notice me stop there for a moment because I forget the shooting order. And finally, one last shot on the steel in the rear. Ending it on a bit of a high note, Stage 5 landed me 10th out of 17 shooters, with 65.07% of the winner's score. A majority of that could have been tightened up, considering how bad I was at shooting some of the distant targets. Overall, I managed to squeeze in 8th out of 17 shooters. Even with some of the issues I was having, thanks to my performance in earlier stages, my overall performance was better than I expected. Thank you very much for watching my video, and once again, many apologies for the delay on this. If you enjoyed this, please do the usual thing that all YouTubers ask for. If you like these sorts of videos, I try to get these videos out on the first Wednesday of the month.